Nito, come on now. You get that bread. Good luck at Planet Fitness, Falco. Pig. Thanks for the follow, Afro Tie. Whatever I do that made you think, yeah, I'll follow that guy. Glad you did. Banana Basics. I know all about the Banana Basics. Actually taught a course in my overgrad class, Banana Intermediate, actually. I'm currently studying to get a minor in Banana Advanced. I think you might know Banana Basics. Who do you think I am? The Banana King. The first Nintendo went over well, Emil. Don't listen to the competitive scene. What game is this song from? And bonus points if you know what level this song is from. Donkey Kong water level? Level 180 of the Popcast, close. Close. Little Big Planet. You guys realize I usually play things from my childhood, right? On here, music-wise. Hello, Sam. Oh, why would you be here, Sam? Wouldn't have to do with the fact that I might mention Velocity a few times in the weekly recap, would it? Would it? Huh? You guessed Little Big Planet while never have actually played Little Big Planet. Alright. Thank you, Hammy in the wall. Thank you. You know, just when I have hope that maybe I'm being too harsh by calling my viewers that watch me live the idiots in chat. I see a comment like that. So thank you, Hammy in the Wall, for giving me, for allowing me to not lose faith in the idiots in chat, that they will continue their idiocracy onward. JRPG game. Certified idiot in chat. Let me see your credentials. You see me tweeting? You see me typing in chat? Correct answer. Sonic 3D Blast. Specifically the Sega Saturn version. And this is Rusty Ruin Zone Act 2, not Act 1. Don't play this game. This game sucks. Oh. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are changing your profile pic to Captain Olimar, being indicted over secreted documents that you stacked in your bathroom, claiming that we need to have a major every single day because players play the game every single day. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. I have made fun of Jordan Kent on here in the past for the amount of cheesy things that he says during those Nintendo streams. But I got to point out, there were some real bangers with some of the things Jordan Kent says. And I'm starting to, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to appreciate and recognize that Jordan Kent, even though he only does Nintendo streams, he does a lot of like actual sport commentary, specifically for the Oregon Ducks, I believe. He's the best commentator we have. He's the most entertaining commentator we have in this scene. Did you guys pick up on a couple of those things? It's so quick and it's so subtle, the little lines he slips in there. And poor Sonder was the victim of some of his quips yesterday. One of the things he said when Red Sun was playing them, Red Sun might as well call them TLC because they don't want no scrub. Making fun of scrub that was on Sonder. And how about this? Say hello to my little friend. How do you come up with those things? Live and right in front of, like, how does he do that so quickly? It's consistently. Jordan Kent, we've made fun of him. I know Donkey's made fun of him. This guy is a treasure. And oh my gosh, if we ever could start paying our commentators and we could get Jordan Kent on like one of these community events, oh my gosh. I just never appreciated Jordan Kent. And the more I listen to him, my goodness, this guy is amazing. Just had to point that out. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. It's Low Ink Week. Snuck up on you, didn't it? It is time for you guys to sign up for Low Ink, even though most of you that are the idiots in chat have been banned by Low Ink up to this point. But if you're still eligible, sign up. If you don't have a team, you can register as a sub. Make sure you get your splash tags in. We are going to be doing the preview at our usual time, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to tune in for that. There's also the Splatomax Invitational Tournament going on this Saturday, I believe. The stream is going to be at the same... I don't know when the stream actually takes place, but we'll be talking about Splatomax to some extent next week. It's hard to find times to squeeze things in the low ink episodes, the low ink recap episodes, but when you have that many high caliber teams that are playing in a tournament, we have to spend some time talking about it other than just a little mention in the weekly recap. So if you're looking for something to listen to, watch other than low ink on day one, first off, you're crazy. Second off, Splatomax is an option. So make sure you pay attention to that. Today, we are going to be recapping the Overlord Tournament, qualifier number 2, in great detail. All the fantastic things that took place yesterday. The good, the bad, and the very, very hilarious. Oh, also, Little Squid League is back, so we are going to be recapping Little Squid League number 30. What about SAC? What about Mug O' War? I didn't even know that was a thing till it was already done yesterday. We still got the weekly recap. There's a lot of tournaments we're going to be talking about here. Odds are, if you did something this weekend and you did it good, we're going to talk about it. All of that and more. But first, this past weekend, there was a tournament that took place in Europe. Now, as you idiots in chat know, I don't live in Europe. Instead, we sent our official EU Popcast correspondent out on the scene to get a feel for everything that happened this past weekend as I'm stalling to set up some things live. Don't want to show that. Don't want to show that. And do I hit the right screen? Look at that. Boom, we got it going. So welcome into the Popcast. Alumni for the Boston Squid Party. According to Twitter, hailing from Splatville, France. There's no way that's an official place. And the official Popcast EU correspondent. Give it up for Pat J. Pat, how is morale today across the pond?
I am tired. That was a very, very big weekend and it was awesome. Like, I'm so happy. Like, that was such a great moment for everybody, I think. And yeah, I loved it. And now I'm so tired.
The current time, and this isn't a pre-planned segment or anything like this. This is live. What time is it right now?
Oh, it's midnight.
Midnight. Okay, so it's Tuesday where you are. You're in the future.
Yep, it is. Yep.
Fair enough. So you're 2 days away from the end of the Rising Squid LAN. So give us your just initial reaction. We'll get into the venue. We'll get into the atmosphere, the games, all that stuff. Just now that you've been away from it for 2 days, what is your initial thoughts as you think back on the Rising Squid LAN?
It was hot. Like, the sun was intent on killing us completely. And a few people didn't have AC at their hotel. And that was like, they were dying. And the venue had AC, but with, I don't know, 60 or more people in the venue with like lots of switches running, it wasn't enough. And so people would sometimes be like, oh, it's too hot inside, I'm going to step outside. And then they would run right back inside because it was just so hot outside. And yeah, like the heat was a big part of the event. And then inside the games themselves were so hot. We had so much parity in the top bracket. I think that in the top bracket there was only one set that was like a 3-0, and every other set the losing team at least took one game. And there was a lot going, and it was really, really awesome. And yeah, like the time I spent with friends that I had never met before was really really cool. And yeah, very very fun.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that there was parity in the top bracket. The lands that we have on this side of the pond, there is no parity at the top bracket. We're lucky to have any kind of game go to a game four in a best of five sets. So, yeah, I watched a little bit of the stream on Dapple Productions. There wasn't a lot of times where they showed shots of the actual venue or like the stage or anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
I guess before I get into the venue question, though, I do have a question about water. Was there plenty of water at the venue? Because there's been times where at some lands, water is very easy to get access to. And then there's other lands where it's like the only thing you have is this $6 bottle of like Dasani water that you get. Did you have plenty of water to counter
The
the heat?
venue was a bar. So yeah,
Okay.
and they like they filled my bottle of water like yeah, oh sure, no problem. Like
Okay.
yes, we had water, but still with so much happening and so much heat, still some people forgot to hydrate, and it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of a problem. But yeah, the venue was a bar. There was always water at disposal, and so that part was pretty much covered by the bar.
Got to stay hydrated. Got to eat those salads too to stay fresh. So the venue was a bar. Is it like an esport designed bar, or is it just so happen to
Yeah,
have giant open space? Like,
it was an esports bar, and
okay.
like that was the name of the venue, like esports gaming center, and it was an esports bar. Plus, from what I saw of the bar, like they're scheduled for the week, and there was like a kind of a shop at the entrance. They were very much into Nintendo stuff, so we felt very welcome there. And like the venue was really really lovely, and plus it was in the Netherlands, which is super accessible. Like getting there was easy for everybody, as far as I can tell.
How I'm assuming a lot of people would fly in to this
Mhm.
event. How far is the nearest airport?
So Amsterdam airport, like I don't know exactly how far because I came by train. But there's a huge airport in the Netherlands, and they have a very good train system. So I think it was like 1 hour by local train, and the train was pretty cheap too. So I think getting there was pretty easy for everybody, especially since like Europe has all the treaties that allow fast travel and easy unless you're in the UK. Sorry.
Okay, so ignorant American here. This was going to slip out at some point. I'm assuming most people traveled by train then.
I I'm not sure. I didn't ask people how they
Right.
came, but I think a lot of people came by plane actually.
Okay.
I came by train, but I don't know like what everybody did.
And I did kind of see the venue a little bit, and most of the venues that we have here um, on the west is these giant open spaces where people just rent out all the equipment necessary to run this event. And it seemed like most of the equipment was already at the place where the Rising Squid Land was held. I saw some like keyboards, so it was mostly just like, okay, just attach your switch and you're good to go with that kind of setup. Was it Splatoon was the only thing going on this weekend, right? There wasn't like some Smash tournament going on in the background or like Rivals of
No, no,
Aether right behind or anything.
it was just Platoon. So the venue there were still a few computers for land that they didn't move, but the venue was just for us, just for Splatoon, and it was fully ours.
How many stations did they have set up? Like, was there enough room to where if you wanted to do a friendly or like do a warm up scrim, could you?
Okay, so this is like the bad part of the LAN. So there were two stations, well, two LAN setups, two
Okay.
8 screen setups. The one on stage was working perfectly, and the other one wasn't. And on day one, we like T-Hose had to scramble. Okay, we are not going to use that setup. So I
Mhm.
like gathered some info, and basically the sound wasn't working because they didn't have compatible headphones, and there were also problem with the network. So they were like, okay, too many problems. We're just going to do with the one setup. That meant that day one was supposed to be groups, then Bravo bracket in single elimination. So it was just groups, and we ran late. Like shout outs to Group 4 for being there with like half the venue out of here because they wanted to go back to their hotel and cool off because of the heat. And then day two, we managed to salvage the. I mean, they managed to salvage the second setup. There still was no VC, but the setup was working. So Bravo Bracket was playing on the second setup and screaming at each other their call outs, while all of Alpha Bracket was on the main stage, and we had to switch to single elimination because of
Mhm.
that, which was brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody was like, okay, like especially Bravo Bracket coming back just for day two for single elimination without DC. Everybody was like, okay, this is the only solution. This is the way the LAN happens. But yeah, that was like pretty much the bad part of the tournament. I spoke to a TO after, and he told me like we know everything that was going wrong. We know everything that was missing, and the next time it's not going to happen.
That
So
is
that's
uh
a plus.
I'll tell you just from experience, it's going to happen again. There's
Oh yeah,
nothing
I mean,
there's nothing you can do with some of these tech issues. I mean, it's not. I don't think I've ever been to a LAN where everything was running correctly
mhm,
and
mhm.
on time. It seems like there's always, oh, we're 20 minutes behind schedule. It's like, no, you're on schedule. You just didn't plan for the 20-minute delay we all knew was coming. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I in that well, go ahead.
uh, being able to just play half the games that you were supposed to play is a pretty big. It's bigger than just like a problem than a 12
Right,
minutes delay.
right.
And someone suggested, can we still have double elimination for Alpha Bracket? And the TOs were like, can you count? That's just no.
You'd
We,
still
we
be
have to
playing
be
that right now.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that answers one of my questions because I did notice it was single elimination, and I was like,
Yeah, that's right.
why would they do single elimination on a day? But the lack of setups
Mhm.
makes perfect sense. But hey, those are just the joys of running Splatoon lands.
Yeah,
Um, hey, you commentated a little bit.
I did.
How was
Yeah.
that?
It was awesome. I mean, there was a big problem, which was when the first game started, the TOs were very busy trying to fix a setup that wasn't working. And our microphones were not plugged in. So, and like it was in the back room of the venue. There was like the awesome commentator booth with lights, and we didn't have a webcam setup, but we had like everything for a good commentary and two awesome microphones in front of us that were not plugged. So we took some time to find, okay, where do we plug these? How does it work? Can we hear us, etc. And then after one game, Lean comes to us and is like, okay, Pat, you have to move like 1 meter away from your microphone, and Zari, you have to just hug your microphone because we cannot hear you. And then after one other game, Lean came back and was like, okay, actually, we just realized, Zari, your microphone is not working, and you guys are going to have to make do with just one mic. And then the rest of it worked pretty well. Like it was just like a few hiccups because the TOs were busy doing something else, fixing bigger problems. And then like it was just like full on. The groups were brutal for everybody involved. I mean, Like it was just like there were a few monster teams that were here to get to alpha bracket and try to get the win, and then there were groups of friends coming to have fun and hey, let's play a few games. There's room for it, so let's do it. And like these two ambience, like these two mindsets meeting in groups was. I mean, was part of the course. Everybody knew that was going to happen. But day two alpha bracket, like I commented, I did like the first set, so all the quarterfinals, because all of the alpha bracket was streamed. We had to. They were on. That was their setup. So I did all the quarterfinals, which allowed me to see all the top teams, all 8 top teams, like fighting each other. And that was so good. That was so good.
And you got to, I'm assuming you got to watch the grand finals live at the venue.
Yeah.
Was there a good crowd around that was able to watch the stream set of the grand final? Like, was there a screen of this game to where people could watch like the spectator view?
There wasn't a screen. There
Okay.
were screens everywhere. Everywhere. Like you could like just be all in a circle and everybody would be looking at a different screen and like just watch the stream like while watching each other.
So
But
there
like
were
there were
people
screens
like
on everywhere.
surrounding the stream station, like where the players were actually playing.
The players were on the stage.
Yeah.
So there was still an orientation, and behind the players there were two big screens, and that's what almost everybody was watching.
Okay.
But there
Okay.
were also screens above the bar and on every wall, so that like whatever you were doing, you could watch the stream as you were
Oh,
doing it.
okay. I gotcha. So how was the atmosphere during the finals? Did it feel kind of electric? Were there people like cheering and whatnot? Like those kind of things you can't get by watching a tournament online?
Yeah, I mean, we were all completely into it, and all day long, like every game ended with people clapping, like cheering on their favorite players, and there was so much happening. The only interruptions were like Bravo Bracket screaming VC. Like, but these were the only interruptions that people were very much paying attention to what was going on Alpha Bracket, especially like past the quarter. I mean, I didn't know how the crowd was during the quarterfinals, but as soon as I was in the room, I could tell like people were paying attention, and these were such cool games.
So what about the outside of the tournament that was actually going on, the Splatoon stuff? How was the social life at this event? Were there a bunch of people hanging out at certain spots? I saw a picture of like everybody at this giant picnic kind of place at the end
Yeah,
yesterday. What was the
yeah.
social life like?
So, for most of the time, I was at the venue because I wanted to be there in case they needed an extra commentator, and there were like constantly games being shown. So I wanted to see that because I love watching games. That's why
Yeah.
I'm here. And but there were like people at the bar. There was chess. There were pool. There was darts. There was a guy in a big man costume, but not for long because of the heat, and that costume looked very like an extra like that layer of fur on it. So the costume didn't last long, but we had big man being there, and yeah, people were hanging out, talking, lots of friends meeting, and I didn't stay much. Like the venue stayed open after the games, like till we had the venue till like I don't know 3 a.m. I didn't stay there because I was so tired. I just wanted to get back to my hotel. And but there was lots of exchange, and at the end, we all, I mean not all, but like pretty much half the tournament went to that pancake house. So and it all started because of the silly commentating stuff. So Zari was commentating with Hat. Hat is Dutch, and there was a team called El Poffertjes, which is a name of tiny Dutch pancakes. And Zari, not being Dutch, was completely unable to pronounce that name. And Hat got pretty animated about that and was like, "That's puffertures. That's like our culture." And so after the tournament was over, there was a big plan to go eat puffertures. And Hat knew the perfect place. We walked for 10 minutes, then took one bus for 10 more minutes, then walked for 10 more minutes to get to that place. And we were hot, we were starving, we were thirsty. And these were the best pancakes of my fucking life. Sorry if can I swear on
No,
stream?
you're fine. You're fine. It's
But like these pancakes were so good. And like we had these big pictures. That's when I talked with people I hadn't even seen because there were so many people and so many things happening. And lots of things were shared on that table around like awesome pancakes.
and these are okay. So these are pancakes that are with like butter and syrup that you would put on them. Like, what would you eat these things with?
Okay, so I didn't hit the puffertjes. I ate a regular Dutch pancake with cheese because I'm more of a savory guy,
Okay.
and puffertjes were more with sweet. And yeah, you eat it with mostly like kind of syrup, whipped cream, ice cream, mm, fruit, anything. Pretty much anything goes on pancakes. I mean, it's still pancake.
That is not true. They'll try to tell you anything, but I mean, look, we got different cultures going on here. I don't want to be like, oh, that's how you eat your pancakes, so be it. But uh, hey, if they're that good, that piques my interest for
Honestly, like
sure.
Dutch pancakes rocks. They rock.
Well, there you go. That's and it's good, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is that there was something else to go because like talking to people at the actual LAN,
Mm,
sometimes like you mentioned all the chaos that's going on, or somebody's
mm.
screaming call outs at another here, or TOs running around because they're putting out all fires. It's sometimes hard to actually talk at the
Yeah.
LAN, so I'm glad there are some other places for people to go to actually meet with each other. The coolest person that you met this past weekend.
Uh, I'll have to say two. Sorry. First goes to Zari. Zarini was commentating with me. We commentated so the first group quarterfinals. We also commentated. That was not on stream, but after Alpha bracket was over, there was the final of Bravo bracket, and they finally could get on the main stage for the Bravo bracket. And so we ran into the commentator booth and gave them commentary that only the crowd could hear. And like Zari was my partner in crime that whole weekend. And like much love to you, Zari. Like you were awesome. Thank you so much. And also Hat, who was the guy that brought us to the Pancake House, who was doing TO stuff, who was like the Dutch guy who knew the people at the venue and who was like the intermediary between the TOs and the venue. And he was the light of the party all weekend long. And he's such a cool dude. Like, love him.
Any plans on playing low ink this upcoming weekend?
So, on Saturday, I am commentating this thing called Splattermax.
Oh, okay. That hasn't been. Are you leaking information here? I don't think
Oh,
that's been.
am I?
I
Oh,
don't
oh,
know. I'm not
sorry, I'm
involved.
not. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing on Saturday.
Fair. Okay, so there, you're not going to be playing in low ink, and we don't know why yet.
Yeah,
We'll be
we
figuring it
have
out eventually.
no idea why. If you have like room for a commentator on Sunday, I'd be glad to.
I'll keep my.
This is my pitch.
Hey, we'll see how Saturday goes, and then if that goes well, maybe we'll reach out. I don't know. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having
I
me. I'm
yeah,
famous now.
yes, and
As an idiot in chat, this is the pinnacle of my Splatoon career.
yeah. Okay, once you're actually on the show, I can't call you an idiot anymore. You are the official EU LAN correspondent here. So the next LAN in Europe, planning on going, depending on situation or anything like that. Like, think you might go to another one.
I mean, yeah, that was such an awesome experience, and Like right now, there are two things I want to do is to go to sleep and do it again. That was such a great weekend, and yeah, I'd love to be your correspondent again.
Let's do it. All right. Well, go get some sleep, and we'll talk to you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Pat J, former member of the Boston Squid Party, who went to the Rising Squid Land this past weekend. Good stuff there. Very good stuff there, Pat J. Uh, Sounds like it was the first time some of those people had run a LAN of that size before, and that's it's not surprising that there were some tech issues. I've been every LAN I've been to. The people in chat who've been Falco can attest to them. There's always tech issues at them. There's always a station that worked fine an hour ago, and now everything just doesn't work at all. And when you have only two stations to go to, man, that's rough. But I'm sure the TOs, it was a good learning experience for them. And I think the main takeaway from that kind of that chat that we just had, at the end of it, Pat J said, that was fun. I had a great time doing that. And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, and KBot has said this time and time again, I've heard them say this many times at LANs to the TOs running it there, it's going to feel like everything's breaking down. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, people are going to walk away with it having a good time and enjoying themselves. So I hope the TOs got that sense at the end of that LAN. And congratulations to everybody that across the pond that I know most of you are going to be watching this on YouTube, aren't staying up live to watch this on a Tuesday morning. But I hope you guys had fun. While that was going on across the pond, over here on the state side, the Overlords hosted the second qualifier for their PAX tournament that's going to take place in Seattle. And before we get into anything, shout out to my boy Falco, who was on the stream commentating alongside Nine Whole Grains and Jordan Kent. Did an absolutely fantastic job. Look, I have been critical of our Overlords at Nintendo a lot here on the Popcast, and I'm going to find ways to continue to do that today. But the one thing I've been consistently praising them for is the fact that they go out and get actual people from our community to commentate for their events. I love that. I love that they try to make that connection to the actual competitive Splatoon community to get involved in things that they do. Does that disqualify or nullify the fact that they've absolutely screwed over Smash time and time again, and that does have a direct impact on how we go through things with Splatoon? No, but that's one thing I gotta give credit where credit's due, and that's a great thing that they do right there. And I always love seeing Falco or Nox or Mel or Zach or gosh, I'm blanking on who was on last week. I already forgot about that. I'm horrible. Nicely done, Falco. It was RZA who was on last week. That's who it was. With that aside, though, my eyes were not set on that handsome man up on the stream. It was set on 4 teams that I talked about yesterday or last week. The teams that I had an eye on. They're technically 5, but Smoothie was that 5th team, and they didn't sign up and they didn't play this second time around, so be it. So there are 4 teams I had an eye on. Last Resort, Duck Gang, DNA, and Nightmare. Those were the 4 teams I said nobody outside of those 4 were going to qualify for this tournament. Well, I didn't realize Crush Soda was going to come out of nowhere and sign up for this event. We'll talk about Crush Soda a little bit in a minute, but okay, as soon as they signed up, all right, one of those 2 spots was automatically gone. Crush Soda was going to take it. So that left 1 spot up for grab between Duck Gang, DNA, Last Resort, and Nightmare. Those 4 teams were at the mercy of some things that Pro Chara on this very stream, last episode, pointed out were some random RNG factors that screws over all of them. The seeding from the Turf War ladder stage. It might as well just be, here's the 16 best teams, which they consistently get right. It's just the order that those 16 teams should be in are completely random. They might as well just draw the seeds out of the hat and save everybody the trouble of having to play 3 straight hours of Turf War against teams who I am convinced bought the video game 2 minutes before the tournament actually went live. It is ridiculous. But if you were Last Resort coming on here and you felt like you had a good situation to go through this tournament to try to get back to the top 4, the thing you were concerned about was what was your seed going to be. And you got to feel pretty good if you're Last Resort, because you got the number 2 seed out of the Turf War ladder stage. And typically when you're the number 2 seed, that means you get a cupcake in round 1, and then a easy-ish opponent in round 2, and then things really get going when you fight that number 3 seed in the semifinals. Now, when you got 16 teams that are all really good, there are no cupcakes. No matter where you look at, there are no cupcakes here. There's no free wins across the board. But as the number 2 seed, you got to get the feeling that things are going to be working out in your favor. The bracket group that Last Resort was in, because the bracket group of 16 teams, only 4 move on out of the single elimination stage into the double elimination stage. So a bracket group, only 1 team out of that bracket group is moving on to the double elim stage. Here's the reward that Last Resort got for being the number 2 seed. They get to play DNA round 1, and then of course they're going to play Nightmare in round 2. Freaking Nightmare and DNA. Because Nightmare ended up with the 10 seed, and DNA just barely qualified for the top 16. They get the number 15 seed. What in the world is going on here? Last Resort didn't benefit from playing well in the Turf War stage. They suffered. They were punished because everyone else was incompetent during the Turf War stage. What sense does that make? And again, I'm not sitting here saying that other teams had an easy path to the top 16, because they didn't. But you're telling me that Last Resort, Nightmare, and DNA, only one of those teams gets to make it the top 4 because they have to knock each other out? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But still, you got that group of death. Those 3 teams. It's going to be exciting watching their players' point of view as that bracket plays itself out. So Last Resort beats DNA, and then they go on to play Nightmare in round 2. At least I think that's what happened. I haven't really looked at the bracket yet. In fact, who was the 4th team in this group of death anyways? Hold on, let me just pull it up real quick. It was Ink Red Sun. Who's that? Never heard of him. Oh, well. So Nightmare 3-0'd Ink Red Sun. Moving on to... Oh, wait. No, I read that wrong. Ink Red Sun beat Nightmare 3-2? What? How does that happen? And now, you people are already leaving the message in chat. I already got it covered here in the notes because I saw other people on Twitter were bringing this up as well. But Popgun, Nightmare didn't have Pelu to play with them. Okay, that is noteworthy. That is a footnote. It is not an asterisk. Last I checked, Nightmare still had Miner, Storm, and Joe and Nico on that roster. Nicolo on that roster, right? And last I checked, this team name is called Nightmare, not the Fighting Pelus, right? You should still have a roster that's good enough to get past Red Sun. Apparently on that day, they didn't. Red Sun, the better team, they knock off Nightmare at the very beginning of the tournament. Yikes. Okay, fair enough. So Red Sun goes on to play Last Resort. And of course, we're just going to see Last Resort steamroll them. Last Resort winning that one. What? In Control Red Sun beat Last Resort in a Game 5 as well? Is this the same? When was the last time we talked about Red Sun? At the Riptide back in like 9 months ago? And didn't they have NM and GG's Dan on that roster then? So it's not even the same Red Sun that it is now. Like, that was the last time we talked about them, right? Yeah, they played at Low Tide City, and I know they did decently well there. And you saw some of their players tweet out at the end of Low Tide City, we're not really satisfied with where we placed. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like you guys did pretty good. I mean, it's good that you feel like you can play even better. I didn't think they'd be playing this much better. But no, the group of death that had Last Resort, DNA, and Nightmare in it, not a single one of those doggone teams made it out of the double elimination stage. Instead, it was Red Sun. Freaking Red Sun is now going to be on an Overlord stream. And how are the commentators going to dance around this one? Are they going to acknowledge the fact that this team is sponsored by In Control? Is that even allowed by the Twitch rules? Who knows at this point? So they never at once did they say In Control Red Sun. They just kept calling them Red Sun. Fair enough. But the INC was still there. But okay, fine. Fine, they get their moment in the spotlight. They're on stream. Who do they got to play now? Oh, Sonder. A Sonder team that just won a Game 5 against Bet. A Sonder team that has won Proving Grounds just 2 days ago and has been grinding every single Proving Ground tournament. They've been playing in single elim into double elim format. They've been playing this same exact format in Proving Grounds for months now. Sonder consistently signs up for Proving Grounds, and they've won a couple of them. Of course they're going to dismiss Red Sun, especially now that Red Sun got their 2 wins. They get this little 2-hour break. Now they get to be up on the stream. Sonder's experienced here. Oh, wait, Red Sun beat them in 4 games. What? 4 games? Red Sun? You're telling me, with how crazy this year has been, as unpredictable as this entire year has been from every single tournament that we've had up to this point, the winner finals of this tournament is Crush Soda versus In Control Red Sun. All you need to understand is everything you know is wrong. My goodness. Red Sun, where have you been? Where have you guys been for the past 9 months? Some people in chat haven't even said your name since the incident. You do realize Admir is the only player left on Red Sun from the incident to today. And I was excited to see Admir up on that stream. And I was kind of thrown off because at one point they did use a Nautilus ballpoint comp together, but you didn't see Admir using the Nautilus. It was somebody else I think it was Beam that was using the Nautilus. It's okay, there you go. But Red Sun, of course, they're not going to beat Crush Soda, right? They're not going to beat Crush Soda and punch their tickets to Seattle, right? No, they don't. Crush Soda absolutely curb stomps them 3-0. Get out of my face. We're going undefeated. We're going to win this tournament, and we're going to Seattle. Fair enough. Red Sun falls down to the loser finals, or I guess the loser semifinals, technically. Sonder gets knocked out by the Quack Attack themselves. Tempest, excuse me. Ugh, had a little bit of sneeze there. By Duck Gang. Quack, quack, quack. Duck Gang, who played extremely well in the last qualifier on stream, got their revenge. Now, coming back in, knocking out Red Sun, and punching their tickets on to the finals. It's not fair to say that Red Sun was a Cinderella team, because even when they made grand finals, there's no way they beat Crush Soda, right? And after they lose the Crush Soda, I'm like, Duck Gang feels like their roster can't lose 3 times to Red Sun, and they didn't. I don't want to call Red Sun a Cinderella team. Instead, what I call them is a spoiler team, because they went through in all these teams in that group of death, in that single elimination stage, that had hopes of not just making it out of the single elimination stage, but flying out to Seattle. Red Sun crushed all of their dreams in one fell swoop. They spoiled everything. And they get to go on Twitter and complain about how none of them get voted into +3 or how their percentage is low and how everybody's been sleeping on them. Fair enough. When you pop off in a tournament, you are more than allowed to go on Twitter and beat your chest and say nobody believed in us. I would counter that, well, your past history is why nobody believed in you, but results are fact. Everything else is opinion. Plus server voting is opinions. Results are fact. Red Sun has a lot of results racked up from yesterday, and that is impressive, and it's nice to finally be able to talk about them again to this extent because it's been a while since we talked about Red Sun. They deserve a good pat on the back from yesterday. But a team that probably deserves, and absolutely does, probably, is the team that finally knocked them out. The team that destroyed the Giants. Give it up for the fourth team to qualify for the Seattle trip. It's the Duck Gang rising up from the ashes of last week and knocking them off, finding their way into the top 4. I love the fact, now this might not be what Duck Gang wants me to bring up, but this is my favorite thing about this whole Duck situation, is that they got to play Crush Soda on stream at a Nintendo tournament, and they had DC issues. And I'm happy that that happened, not because I wish any ill will towards the Duck Gang players, but I'm happy that it happened on an Overlord stream and that everybody, including Nintendo, can't just dodge the fact that the netcode for this game is dog crap. Now, I don't think it had anything to do with the internet issues. They tweeted out how it was there were some storms rolling through, but still, just the viewership gets to watch this player DC 7 minutes into the game, and there's no replay because the replay rules apparently, as people dug up this morning on Twitter, you do get a replay if the DC happens 5 seconds into the game. The DC happens 7 seconds into the game. That's 2 seconds too long. Yeah, by that time, somebody had already gotten a fourth of the way to their special. How could you replay the game at that point? Oh, man. Oh, man. And it's hilarious because if you watch the VOD back, I think it was Goss's point of view that we're on. They recognize that there's a DC, and you see them stop for like a couple of seconds until it registers in their brain. Oh, wait a minute. If we stop and we like cancel the game here, we're going to take the L. So they instantly switch gears back to getting the KO and ending the game naturally. But you saw them. They're so used to the jank in the game and the rules that we have in this community to try to do our best to mitigate the jank that's in the game that they stopped until they were like, oh, wait, we got to go. We got to play. I was hoping a nightmare scenario that Crush Soda was going to be so gentlemanly that they would have closed the lobby, assuming there's going to be a replay, just for Nintendo to be like, nope, you close the lobby early, you lose, Duck Gang gets the win. That's the nightmare scenario, and it almost happened. I was so happy about that it even happened. Now, did it change the final outcome? I don't think so. Even though there was a DC in that game too, it's obvious Crush Soda was destroying the Ducks for the 2 or the 1.5 game that they actually played. I'm still, man, just the nightmare scenario of that almost happening. And it makes me feel even better because the Ducks bounced back. They took care of Sonder once the storms passed, 3-1. They took care of Red Sun, 3-1. And the run that the Ducks had to even get to the top 4 wasn't easy either. They had to survive Set to Destroy X in Game 5, and they swept their way through Paragon, which was a roster made up of Riki, Kiwi, Caden, and Taylor. That is a tough team that they had to run their way through. And the Ducks definitely deserve their spot as one of the 4 teams going to Seattle. With the up in the airness of who's we know who the best 2 teams in North America are, but who are those other 2 spots? It leaves the door open for a team like Duck Gang. And I'm happy they're the ones that are going, because they've shown in these past 2 tournaments that they're capable of being serviceable in these tournaments. They took a game off of Jackpot. They were very pesky for Jackpot when they played against them. Now, who's actually going to be going for Duck Gang to play in this event? I don't know. I saw some players tweet out like, okay, now I got to convince my parents that we could even go to these things, which I'm sure Nintendo is thrilled to find out about, that their players that qualified for this may or may not actually be able to go. But I hope they do get to go, because that's going to be an awesome experience for them, and they can be competitive against these other three teams. They've shown it in the past, and give them a little bit of time to grind. I saw Keo kind of vouching for them into +1 on Twitter last night. Like, let these guys get some actual experience. Let them grow a little bit. The door's open for a 4th place team. And the Ducks or Tempest, well, they actually tweeted out on the Tempest account yesterday. I feel like they got an opportunity to at least make some noise for themselves. Now, the biggest winner from yesterday is none of those teams that I just mentioned. Red Sun is not the biggest winner. The Ducks are not the biggest winner. Crush Soda as a whole is not even the biggest winner from yesterday. It is the player that they picked up recently that gets a huge dub from yesterday. And of course, I am talking about Twig. The reason I feel like Twig is the biggest winner from yesterday is because that is a player who, if you've ever opened up your app to look at the X-Rank scores, you know who Twig is. But we never really spend any time talking about Twig or doing a deep dive into Twig or any kind of situation like that, because they're not ever on that big stage. And if you're in chat, you're probably thinking I'm talking about the Twig from Secret Elixir or the Twig from Aquatic Vanguard. No, I'm talking about arguably the greatest solo queue player of all time. That Twig. That's a different kind of Twig. You got Twigs and Twigs, and then you got the Twig. This player being able to get on this kind of big stage is huge, because in my opinion, Twig is like Mike Trout, who is a baseball player for the Los Angeles Angels and may go down in history as the greatest baseball player of all time. The problem with Mike Trout is nobody really knows much about Mike Trout, or we don't get to see him play in big moments, because in the 11 seasons that he's played for the Los Angeles Angels, he has played in a grand total of 3 playoff games. 3 playoff games, and has never won a playoff series. We never get to see Mike Trout in big moments, and it's so frustrating because that player is crazy good. We're talking about 150 years of history. This player might stand alone on top of them all. It's not going to stand alone as far as the World Series championships or anything like that is concerned. And as the way as the American League this season is shaping up, it doesn't look like the Angels are going to make the playoffs this year either. So things continuing to suck for Mike Trout. But Twig's in the same kind of situation. We're talking about a player that has gotten first place in every single category in X-Rank in one season, that hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities on the big stage. The last time I can think about Twig being on a big stage was the first Riptide, I believe, with Arctic Moon. Twig played on that team, right? That was poking the bear of Starburst, but didn't really. I think they got 3rd place overall in that event. That was 2 years ago. Since then, Ascension didn't qualify for the Ink TV League. Didn't even come close to a qualifying for the Ink TV League. And Ascension did make a decent run at a qualifier for the last PAX event, but didn't ultimately get the job done, pushing Starburst to a Game 5 and giving Last Resort all they could handle as well. But Ascension never really rose to that kind of caliber of level. And ultimately, Ascension did disband after the last Ink TV qualifier, to where most of the players came out and tweeted, hey, we just don't have the time to grind at this level that we're at right now to get that next step. We don't have time. We got other things we'd rather be doing up to this point to build up to where we need to be. So most of those players kind of stepped away from the game, except for Twig, who tweeted out, I'm a free agent, and I would love to play with somebody if we get the right kind of situation put together. And Crush Soda seems like a very good spot for the player of the caliber Twig to be landing here. Now, Keo was very frustrated when he was on Crush Soda. And I'm not leaking anything here. I'm just reading the tweets that Keo was putting out during the Ink TV League, frustrated with the lack of practice and scrims that their team was doing during the Ink TV League. Of course, we're going to get stomped by Jackpot if we don't practice at all. Does Crush Soda still practice going forward? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me at this point. What matters is this combination of 4 players seems to be pretty good, and we now get to see Twig up on a big stage in Seattle. That is a huge dub for all of us because Twig is a superstar, and we almost never talk about him unless we're just referencing, oh, remember that time Twig got 4 spots in the West region? But Pop Gun, they didn't get 4 spots in the Japan League, just the Western League. Well, guess what? Nobody from Japan is playing in these Overlord tournaments either. How about that? Is Crush Soda going to beat Jackpot or Starburst? I'm not saying that. That's not at all what I'm saying. It's disrespectful to Jackpot and Starburst to hint at that. But when you got 3 players like Goss, Thunder, and Wave who have had past PAX experience in the last PAX with this very same team, and then you plug in the Lord of North America solo queue, hell, North America and Europe, the western side of solo queue, is that Crush Soda team going to be competitive with Jackpot and Starburst? Of course. I don't see any reason to think anything otherwise. If Last Resort and Duck Game can take games off of those 2 teams, in this year that we've had where whatever script, whatever bingo card you have for a tournament going into it, just throw it out and just burn it up because none of it makes any sense. I'm excited to see what this Twig revamped Crush Soda roster can do, and I'm excited to look forward to this top 4. Congratulations once again to the Ducks and Crush Soda as they join Jackpot and Starburst as they'll play in the PAX tournament in Seattle to decide who is the ultimate Overlord team. We'll be keeping an eye on you guys going forward. Good stuff. Good stuff all around. Entertaining because the format forces it to be entertaining. It's horrible to play in these Overlord tournaments, but my God, it is exciting to watch. Nicely done. There was some highlighted stuff. Nightmare without Pelu. Panama isn't allowed to play. That is correct. Panama is in North America, but this is not the North America Open. It's the Canada, United States, Mexico Open. That is kind of, I mean, it's got to do with like prizes and whatnot, but still, it's not really North America, technically. Nintendo needs to fix their tourney formatting. Yes, they do. I talked a lot about their formatting last time, and I even noticed some more jank from the last tournament yesterday, but I'm not going to spend time bashing them over and over again. You don't know if it counts as North America? Well, there's no like jurisdiction that decides what is or isn't North or South America. It's not like there's any kind of like EU thing going on there. But I think officially Panama is in North America. But again, like Nintendo's just cutting things off at Mexico. I'm assuming because of prizes stuff that they have to deal with. If you go to other countries, you got to deal with different kind of laws as far as prize distribution is concerned. We found that out because there was a player that cheated, technically, in a tournament like a couple of years ago from that. All right, let's move on. It is now time for the weekly recap. Believe it or not, there were a bunch of other tournaments that took place this past weekend. Starting off with SOS number 111. It was won by Decay. who beat Legato in grand finals. SpongeBob finished in third place. I've been telling you guys, Decay has been knocking on the door. They get podium of damn near every single tournament that they play in. It was about just a matter of time before they actually find a way to win one of these things. They are able to win this tournament, SOS number 111. They're going to win a lot more going forward. A Daybreak, former Destiny Troop player, former Resilience player, of course, leading the way with their Nautilus. Hammerhead was won by Secret Elixir. Who? Mako Bracket was won by the Wiggly Phantoms of the Opera. And Lantern Bracket was won by Yeehaw! Proving Grounds number 14, won by Sonder, one of the teams I was talking about in the Nintendo Open. Fortune finished in second place, and Decay, hey, we just talked about those guys. They finished in third. I hope Fortune is an actual team led by one half, formerly of Synergy, currently of Fortune. It doesn't sound like a pickup name, but I like it when consistent teams play, so I'm hoping Fortune is an actual team going forward. It's not an actual team until I can search Fortune_SBL on Twitter and pull them up. Regardless, Sonder found a way to win this one, I believe the second time they've won a Proving Ground tournament. The real story here is Secret Elixir, who proved themselves this past tournament, having a Cinderella run, knocking off Helios, 1-2 Buckle My Shoe, swept them, by the way, and beat the Silly Kitties. How does Zenith go from losing to Secret Elixir on Friday to knocking off everybody and going to Seattle 2 days later as a sub for Duck Gang? Nicely done. I don't know if Zenith actually played Proving Grounds. I just know Silly Kitties did. Secret Elixir did so well that I had to DM them in the middle of the tournament to let them know that they need to unsign up from Low Ink because it's starting to look pretty silly if they're currently signed up for Low Ink and they're just destroying people in SOS and in Proving Grounds. Like, please get out of here. You guys are a little bit too good. The second twig ever to be banned from Low Ink. SAC opener took place on Saturday. Synergy found a way to win this one. Lotted Dipper, the team that former Destiny Troop member Zon Inc. was the one finished in second place. Also, Vero was there. The only two players that I recognize on that roster. Sanctuary finished in third place. It was announced due to the new rule changes that the first two contenders for the finals have been finalized, and it was Synergy and Lotted Dipper. So if you make the grand finals of a qualifier, it seems like that alone is enough to automatically qualify you for the grand finals. Nicely done. It makes sense. I remember Unlucky won a qualifier once, and of course we all remember when Rising Matrix won a qualifier back in 2021. Neither one of those teams played in enough SAC tournaments to get enough points to where they could actually win a spot into the top 8. As a team that was in that Season 3 tournament, I'm very thankful Rising Matrix wasn't able to qualify for it. Those guys destroyed all of us. Velocity took silver in that tournament. Mug of War Invitational, a tournament I didn't know actually existed until the very end of the tournament when I saw the bracket posted on Twitter. Apparently it was an invitational that was, there were 16 teams with skill levels ranging from Decay down to Secret Elixir, which is a... Did they know how good Secret Elixir really was when they invited them? Velocity ended up winning this one. Sanctuary finished in second, Rapid in third, A2P won silver bracket. Don't know anything else about the Mug of War Invitational, but Velocity's the only team to ever win it. So there you go, Sam. You got your quick moment of limelight there. A couple of things for your trophy case. Silver SAC and a Mug of War Invitational. I hope you guys got trophies for that thing. That was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Tournament Prize Money. You might be finding yourself thinking, how come there hasn't been a lot of majors lately? Are TOs just being lazy? Come on, the players are playing the game. You guys should make tournaments for us. The response the TOs are going to give back to you is, are you going to pay for it? Are you going to invest time? All of the production staff that are going to be doing these things for free, the TOs who do these things for free, most of whom are throwing money into the prize pool anyways. Are you going to fund it? If not, maybe shut up. Tournament prize pools. The official sponsor of this segment of the weekly recap. Damn. What are the TOs doing? Bruh, I got a kid. I got to buy diapers. By the way, the name is pronounced Loaded Diaper. Really? Thank you. Thank you. I now feel good. That is said Loaded Diaper. That is a great team name. I assumed it was Loaded Diaper, but then I was like, well, there's no like pronunciation on Dipper. But I'm not a Diary of a Wimpy Kid was after my time. Yes, that is correct. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just not a series I was into at the time. I don't know. Little Squid League, number 30. And then we'll call it a day. I finally have an excuse to bust out this Little Squid League hat. This custom-made Little Squid League hat, by the way. The company that Jub got this from was able to do all this, but this stuff was put in specifically by Jub. And now my question is this, and I've already brought this up to management. How come I got a Little Squid League hat before I ever got a IPL t-shirt or an IPL hat? Yes, I got this IPL sticker, and I got a bunch of I've got banned from Low Ink, and all I got is this sticker stuff. But how come I'm getting swag from an organization I don't even work for long before I get an IPL t-shirt? I did bring this up to management, and you know what? I was salty. But here I am. I'm more than happy to represent Little Squid League. They are a cornerstone tournament in this community. Very critical. They fill an important niche. Unlike some of these other mom and pop tournaments that come out. We got a tournament just for Div 3.5 down to Div 5, like the alpha bracket regular times. Like nobody wanted that. Like nobody asked for that. But everybody needs Little Squid League. Even people that don't know Little Squid League exists need Little Squid League. Low Ink is too good for me. I can't compete with the teams in Low Ink. Little Squid League's been around for like 3 years now. Come on, bro. The 30th tournament just happened the last weekend. So let's talk about it. It still surprises me that people don't really know this thing exists. And what's more impressive, this is still a solo event. Like, there's not many events that are still like this, but going on for this long that aren't a part of like MIT or IPL or Dapple Productions or anything like this. This is all them. It's just good. They feel like the one house that is yet to sell their house in the neighborhood while everybody else like sold their house to make a giant like industry parking lot or something else. And they're like, I'll give you $2 million to give me your house. Like, oh, my grandpa lived here. I'm never giving it up. Before we get into it, I just want to point out, I always like it when other tournaments have feedback channels. Somebody left feedback frustrated with the lag. Hey, you guys were frustrated with the lag in the Low Ink last month as well. Their suggestion was that Little Squid League become a region-locked tournament. Let's just cut out EU so that we can. That'll make this tournament a lot better. I just want to point out that not all. Sometimes you guys think you're giving good feedback. Sometimes you're not. Actually, the vast majority of the time, the feedback you guys give really sucks. It's annoying because you'll give feedback and then the TOs will be like, yeah, that's bad. And then you'll go on Twitter and be like, I told the TOs about this and they didn't pay attention and they didn't care. And now look what happened. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the games that took place. We're going to start off in the group stage. And I got one match to highlight from each of the group stage things. And let's see. I actually hit the right button this time around. We're going to go through A through F, look at silver, look at gold, and then we'll call it a day. How about that? In Group A, the match that we're going to look at here is Eternal Eclipsia, who got a 2-1 win over Pearl Essence. As you can see by the seed. And I do believe the seeding for these things were actually accurate. Now, who gets to play each other is at the mercy of Battlefy. They at least put in the teams that they feel like should finish where they do. So these were the top two-ish of the three teams in this group going up against each other. Eternal Eclipsia, they went 3-1 the last time that they played in Little Squid League, which was Squid League number 29. Made gold bracket and fell victim to Octopi. Pearl Essence, they made Delta bracket in the most recent lowing, so this is a fair seeding for both teams. I think this was basically a play-in for the gold bracket because I think Pearl Essence didn't do enough where Eternal, actually, maybe both of them missed out on it. I don't know. But still, it's a good match between these two teams, these consistent LSL teams, as they're able to find their way. Maybe not in the top cut, but at least Eternal Eclipsia beat Pearl Essence in that one situation. Group B, Ink Black got a 2-1 win over This Is Fine in all capitalization. Look at this logo. Look at that. That is okay. So the team with the T logo that plays in little in low ink, and This Is Fine. Big fan of both of these logos here. This Is Fine does not get the win over Ink Black this time around. This Is Fine as the Group B. Essentially, this was the Group B championship game played out between these two teams. But This Is Fine went 2-2 last time they played in Little Squid League and made a decent run in that silver bracket that they played in last time around. But because they lost to Ink Black, they still go 3-1. They qualify for the gold bracket this time around, but Ink Black wins this group as they were projected to do because they were the number 1 seed. How about that? Group C, Onigiri got a 2-1 win over Quick Attack. Rightfully so. They have a Zigzagoon as their logo. Quick Attack, both of these teams are new, I think. I looked at the captains for both teams, and they hadn't played any tournaments before, and that was as much as I cared to actually investigate, because if you're the captain of the team, you're clearly the best player on your team, and the most experienced, and the most handsome/pretty, or some sort of combination of both. But both teams' captains, at least, were new to tournaments. Onigiri able to get the win here, which was essentially a play-in match for the gold bracket. In a 2-1 fashion. Nicely done to them. Group D, we got to give a shout out to the Moonstars. We got a 2-1 win over Red Dawn. If you're wondering who the Moonstars is, this is a trivia question that's going to be asked in some esports bar in the Netherlands at some point. What team won silver bracket of Little Squid League 28? The answer, of course, is the Moonstars, as they're able to get a 2-1 win over Red Dawn here, punching their tickets into the gold bracket. Red Dawn, because they got the L, they fall down below a team called Bai. It is not often that Bai does well in a tournament. In fact, I've never seen Team Bai actually win a game. This Team Bai actually won too. Nicely done to them. Group E, the match we want to focus on here, of course, is none other than Zest Fest, as they take on... Where is it? Oh, this was round 1, actually. Zestfest in round 1, taking on Blitz Wave. A little bit of an intimidating logo right there. This is the round 1 matchup, and Zestfest almost lost it. Able to escape Blitz Wave 2-1. Both teams made gold bracket, and we're going to be seeing both teams again in gold bracket. Spoiler alert. It's just funny that they played against each other round 1, and it was very competitive. Normally, you don't really see things like that. Hey, finish your matches on time. Maybe it won't be a 1-1 tie. That's why I'm assuming that one ended in a tie. Group F. Rogue Wave is the team we're going to be looking at here, as they got a 2-1 win over, not Saddle Up Seahorses. They didn't get a win right there. It must have been a round 1 match that I'm looking at here. Rogue Wave got a 2-1 win over Stardust Pride. This is the match I want to highlight in Group F. Rogue Wave seems to be a new team. Stardust Pride, hey, have some pride in your Stardust. I think that's what we're all made of, technically. They played in the last low ink, but they ended up dropping from it before they could get really going there. But this round one match had a critical result for both of these teams going forward. As you could see, winning it allowed Rogue Waves to propel themselves into gold bracket. Stardust Pride fell just short of it at 2-2. So those were just the quick matches I want to highlight. I hope everyone likes the Swiss group format going on here. You only play 4 rounds, seems to be pretty quick. When you have this many teams to do it in one day, this seems like the quickest, most fair way. And instead of playing 3 games, which everyone did in the older group stage, now everyone's guaranteed at least 4 before moving on to the silver or gold bracket. So they've done this tournament format a lot since they started picking up a lot of new teams. Assuming everybody's just kind of settled into how to it, because it seems like it works. Silver bracket, on the other hand, is monstrous. The teams I want to give a quick shout out to for the silver bracket. First off, we got to talk about Oofish, who just barely fell to 4th place in the 3rd place match. I don't have a dog in the Little Squid League fight, but I hope at some point Oofish does win this tournament. It would be a great episode of the Popcast for me to just sit down and be like, here's the results Oofish has had for the past 30 Little Squid Leagues. And it just so happens they always get stuck in the group of teams that are just going on to win this one. I believe Oofish was in the same group as Zestfest. Was that Group E that Oofish was in? Of course they were in. They're always in the group of the team. It's just bad luck that works out that way for them. Now you got to play who's in front of you, but it would be a feel-good story if some point Oofish were to win this one, but it's not this time around. They get 4th place in silver bracket. Taking some frustration out on some innocent teams along the way there. The team that did finish in 3rd place, Umami. They went 2-4 in low ink the last time that they played in it. Now continuing their grind through Little Squid League. This is exactly what this tournament is for. Every team that goes 1-5, 2-4, 3-3 should be signing up immediately in Little Squid League. Umami's going to be better for it because they got a couple of wins here and grinded out a tough Game 5 win against Oofish to take 3rd place. Whiplash is a team I feel like I should have some information from, but I couldn't really find much about them. Maybe this is their first time actually playing all the way through a tournament or whatnot. I'm not really sure. But still, Whiplash ended up taking 2nd place here in a very competitive grand finals match where they ultimately lost to the Grisco Workers Union. If you're wondering who the Grisco Workers Union are, and there's no way that Mr. Grizz is going to let you guys unionize. So this is a complete falsehood, this team name is coming out here, but technically the number 1 seed steamrolled their way through, wasn't really challenged until they got to Umami and Wishlash at the end. If you're wondering who the Grisco Worker Union team is, they made beta bracket in May low ink, going 4-2 as a CCA team. I believe this is the first team that wasn't Div 1 in CCA that made top 32. And I did look up that information. I already forgot what represent. No. These guys are from that Polytech Worcester. This is the fake university team, like that you guys just made up and are trying to pass off as an actual team. That I slowly remember that. Still, nicely done, winning silver bracket. More great things to come from that team. Well, we're looking at gold bracket now. The things I want to point out here. I don't know who Torrent is. I have absolutely no idea who Torrent is. They got knocked out in round 3, but I tried to look up some information about them. There was nothing notable about them yet, but I feel like Torrent is a team I'm going to be talking about in future episodes of the Popcast. Nicely done making this deep of a run into the tournament. They just ran into another strong team that was in Ufish's group out of nowhere. Deep Blues is a team I want to talk about. Now, if you're an old head and you stuck around from the Overlord segment before this one, you're thinking, what the hell is Deep Blues? A team that used to be one of the best Rainmaker teams in North America. One of the teams that was considered one of the better teams outside of FT Win a long time ago. Like, why is Deep Blues playing in Little Squid League. Turns out it's not that Deep Blues. It's a completely different team that just so happens to have the same exact name. So be it. They beat This Is Fine and Ink Strikers on their way until Scarlet Ink ended up knocking them out. Hey, Scarlet Ink, that is a team we've talked about on the podcast before. Why? Because they won third place in this tournament. Third overall. Where did Scarlet Ink finish last Little Squid League? Third place. Again, this is the same spot. Scarlet Ink, they're starting to rack up all these bronze trophies and starting to look a little, I don't know how they feel about that. Actually, I'm going to do some research on the fly. Didn't these guys get the third place match the last time they played, like 2 Little Squid Leagues ago? I'm going to do some quick research on that because I feel like Scarlet Ink has been consistently threatening to make podium. We're looking at Little Squid League number 28, the gold bracket. No, I was mistaken. Where did they finish? Somewhere. I feel like but still, okay. Not the interesting stat I was going to be thinking it was going to be at the top of my head. Still back-to-back bronze medals that this team has made. That much I can confirm. Scarlet Ink, eventually they're going to break through there, but there's a lot of teams that are trying to break through. This gold bracket is loaded with a lot of teams outside of Scarlet Ink that are mostly unknown or haven't really played that much in the competitive scene up to this point. Fatal Error, the team that made grand finals, lost to Zest Fest in a decent back and forth where it seemed like nobody could win on their own counter pick ever. Fatal Error ended up winning second place here, but I think this is a brand new team as well. I couldn't find any information about them, or they've like played in other tournaments, but this is the first time Fatal Error as an actual team has played together. Mostly unknown, finishing second place in this one. And you could kind of say the same thing for Zest Fest, except these guys do have actual tournament results. They went 4-2 in the last time that they played in Low Ink. And oddly enough, went into the Low Ink help desk as soon as they won the Little Squid League tournament and asked if they are now banned from Low Ink because of that result that they got right here. Look, let's just set the record straight here, because the last team to win Little Squid League was Octopi. And Octopi played in the Low Ink right after that Little Squid League and made podium. For some flashes there, it looked like they were going to win the whole tournament. I'm stating this on the record right now. Octopi is an outlier, not the norm. Zestfest is not going to destroy Low Ink and destroy other teams in SOS going forward. I think they're on a good path. Winning this tournament in the first Little Squid League that they played in, having some Low Ink experience sets them up for success down the line. It's not going to happen this weekend. Little Squid League teams shouldn't be winning Little Squid League and going on to destroy tournaments just weeks and days afterwards. Octopi was the outlier. Zestfest, good things coming down the road. Don't expect immediate direct success. They are a zesty team, though. This was a long episode of the Popcast, and if you're wondering why I didn't do a deep dive into SAC, it's because this tournament, this episode has already lasted an hour and 20 minutes. Covered a lot of ground. European LAN, North American major-ish qualifier, I guess, and a low-level tournament. Nicely done across the board. We will see you guys back for Friday's episode of the Popcast, where we will discuss the Low Ink recap, or the Low Ink preview. Until then, if you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out my socials below, which I need to update because I'm now got a different Discord name. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord at Just Popgun, YouTube at 25 Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. I think it's time we rated Devi. Make sure you guys Why did that? Is it? Why did that not work? Did I type that in wrong? Is it backslash? It's backslash. What am I doing? Make sure you guys get vaccinated. Stay safe. Enjoy whatever it is that you do between now and then. Sign up for Low Ink. And I don't know. Sign up for Low Ink. Unless you're banned from it. Don't be that jackass that signs up. It's not funny.